Hey everybody, welcome back to another EDH video. Today's video we are on day 16 of 25 days of deck building, and I am building around Arna Kennerüd Skycaptain, which is 2 generic and an Esper, which is white, blue, black. The legendary creature Human Knight, flying lifelink, ward, discard a card, and it says whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. So this is really cool because if you have an Eldrazi conscription on one of your creatures, you get another Eldrazi conscription whenever it attacks. So that's really cool. Non-token permanent attached to it, so this does work with auras and equipments, but I went with an auras build because I have a very cool card that I wanted to try out and try to use. I'm hoping it works the way I want it to work with Arna, but if it doesn't, still it's a cool card and I want to put it in here. But anyways, let's get right into what's actually in the deck. So we got 19 creatures, 4 sorceries, 5 instants, 7 artifacts, 30 enchantments, and 34 to 35 lands if you include the MDFCs. The deck's coming in at very cheap at $140. A little bit, $100 more than a usual precon, so it punches above a precon level. We have some ramp. Of course, we're going to have ramp. We're going to have Arcane Signet, which is coming in 2 generic, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, so it taps for white, blue, or black. The Felwar Stone, 2 generic, add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. So we're probably going to be tapping for almost all of our colors for this. We have Mind Stone, 2 generic, tap it for a colorless, tap 1, tap it, sacrifice it, and draw a card. Very good in this deck. A little bit of extra card draw, always good. Talisman of Dominance, 2 generic, tap it, add a colorless. You can also tap it, add a blue or a black, and it deals 1 damage to you. Talisman of Hierarchy is the same thing, but it taps for a white or a black. Talisman of Progress, same thing, but it taps for a white or a blue. They all just deal damage to you and tap for colorless. We have Soul Ring, 1 generic taps for 2 colorless. We know what this card does. We don't need to talk about it. Inquisitive Glimmer as Azorius. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and unlock cost you cast cost 1 less to cast. Culdswork Handy Helper, 2 generic and a white. Commanders you control have ward 2, and then you can tap it and spend this on mana to cast aura spells and equipment spells. And then you can tap it as well and attach target aura or equipment you control to target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. But I really like this card because you can tap it for mana, or you can move an aura from one thing to another, or equipment. But we don't really have that many equipment, and then it also ramps you. So we have Danitha, Capuchin, Paragon, which is first strike, vigilance, lifelink, aura, and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We have mainly our auras are going to be casting 1 less to cast. Kill an Ink Duelist, it's Orzhov, Lifelink, Menace. Spells you cast, the targeted creature costs 2 less to cast, so our auras will cost 2 less to cast. It's a 2/2. We have Transcendent Envoy, 1 generic and white. Flying or spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. An enchantment. No, we don't really care about what it does. We just like the aura spells cost 1 less to cast. Also flyer, I mean, you can get through if we buff it up with some artifact and auras. Then we have some draw. Cartouche of Knowledge, 1 generic and a blue. Enchant creature you control whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then an enchant creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. Combat Research, 1 blue. Whenever this creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. As long as an enchanted creature is a legendary and gets +1/+1 and has ward 1. Curiosity, whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. These are all auras. These are all auras that draws cards. Mainly that's what we're going for. We have Entity Tracker. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, you draw a card. Has flash. It's 2 mana and a blue. We have Arcanum Wings. Doesn't draw you a card, but it's an enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has flying. Then it has this text that's never been printed on any other Magic card, which is Aura Swap. And it has 2 generic and blue Aura Swap. So you exchange this aura with an aura card in your hand. So you can exchange this with an Eldrazi conscription or something like that, and just put that on something. And I think it works with Arna to where you can make copies of it and just keep exchanging all your auras in your hand. Because, I mean, the token just gets exiled, but you still put that aura into play, I believe. We have Hateful Eidolon, 1 black. Whenever an enchanted creature you control dies, draw a card for each aura you control that was attached to it. This is really good at 1 mana. We have Core Spirit Dancer, 1 generic and a white. Core Spirit Dancer gets +2/+2 for its aura attached to it. Whenever you cast an aura spell, you draw a card. Menace Enchantress, 1 generic, 2 white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Human Druid, 0/2, but we only care about the card draw. We have Nerd Rage, 2 generic and a blue. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, and it has the add ability that you have no maximum hand size, and whenever this creature attacks, if you have 10 or more cards in hand, you get +10/+10 to it in a turn. So it can make your stuff really big, but if we copy it, we're going to be drawing cards, and we're just going to be doing that a bunch of times. Rune of Flight, 1 generic and blue, enters, you draw a card. Enchanted Permanent is a creature. It has flying, and all the other stuff doesn't really matter. Because you can enchant permanent, but we only really are going to be enchanting creatures. We have Rune Immortality, 1 generic and a black. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. And as long as it's enchanted permanent as a creature, it has Death Touch. I really like these runes because they're cheap and they just draw you a card when they come in. But they can also enchant permanents. Then we have Rune of Sustenance, 1 generic and a white. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. And then enchanted permanent is a creature. It has lifelink. If it is a creature, it has lifelink. And if it's an equipment, the equipped creature has lifelink. I don't know. It's always so confusing. Sage Reverie, 3 generic and a white. Enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. It's really good because we're making a bunch of copies of it. SRAM, Senior Edificer, 1 generic and a white. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. We all know what SRAM does. It's a pretty popular white deck, so why not? It also just draws you cards. Staggering Insight, it's a Azorius, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. An aura. A lot of our stuff is auras that draw cards, and that's what I like. I think it's very flavorful. We have Unquested Authority, 2 generic and a white. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And enchanted creatures have protection from creatures. Enchanted creature has protection from creatures. That's what I meant to say. So it's gonna be entering. We're gonna draw a card, and it also gives that protection. We have Pearlier and Imperial Advisor, 1 generic and 2 white. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras, and then whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, you draw a card. Auras are a modification, so that makes sense. It also has lifelink. Then we have Azure the Enchanter. Not really draw, more a card advantage, but it's 1 generic and an Esper. Whenever Azure attacks, you may search your library for an Esper or an enchantment card with mana value 3 or less, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Search for one of our auras we want. We have Open the Army, 1 generic and a white. Search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Search for one of our auras that we want. I don't really put tutors, but I thought this one was good because it's searching for specifically an aura or an equipment. We have Mantle of the Ancients, 3 generic and 2 white. Enchant creature you control. Whenever it enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield to enchanted creature, and then enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. We have Light Paws, Emperor's Voice, not really a card draw, more like card advantage. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto Light Paws. We have removal. First up, we got Vindicate, 1 generic and an Azorius, destroy target permanent. Really good removal spell. There's no downsides. Toxic Deluge, 2 generic and a black. You pay X life, and all creatures get -X until end of turn. That's an additional cost. We have Swords of Plowshare. 1 white, exile target creature. It control gains life equal to its power. Sheltered by Ghost, 1 generic and a white. Enters exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Sheltered by Ghost leaves the battlefield. Then an enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has lifelink and ward 2. Very good aura. Also removal, just does a bunch of stuff. Path to Exile, exile target creature is controlled by search the library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Again, basic removal. During this gift, 2 generic and white. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Faith Unbroken, 3 generic and a white. Enchanted creature you control gets +2/+2, and then whenever it enters the battlefield, exile the permanent until it leaves. Despark, it's Orzhov. Destroy target permanent of mana value 4 or greater. Do make giant 4 generic and a black. Whenever a giant or another enchantment you control enters, creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1. Austere Command, 4 generic, 2 white. Destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or 4 or greater, and then you only choose 2. So if you want to destroy a one-sided board wipe, you destroy all artifacts and then the big creatures. Anguish Unmaking, 1 generic and an Orzhov. Exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. Then we have Got Auras, question mark. The Got Milk. All that glitters, 1 generic and a white. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Aura. We like these auras because you can make big copies of them. That's all I have. Angelic Destiny, 2 generic and a 2 white. Enchanted creature gets +4/+4, has flying and first strike, and is an angel in addition to its other types. And whenever enchanted creature dies, return Angelic Destiny to its owner's hand. Very good, because we can just keep replaying it. We have Angelic Gift, 1 generic and a white. Enchanted creature, or whenever Angelic Gift enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then enchanted creature has flying. This should have been in the draw card category. I don't know why it's not. But enchanted creature gets flying, and that's pretty cool. Get through. Ardent Intrepid Archaeologist, 2 generic and a white. Beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach an aura, any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. Yeah, it has partner, but it doesn't really matter for this because we're not playing as commander. We have Aquarius form, 1 blue, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't be blocked. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks, you scry 1. We just went it for the can't be blocked. The scry is okay, but I don't really care about it that much, to be honest. We have Ormancer's Guise, 2 generic and 2 blue. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 for each aura you control and has, or attached to it, and has vigilance. They couldn't really find many effects like this in blue, and I thought this was probably the best one. Gives vigilance. Then we have Battle Mastery, 2 generic and a white. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has double strike, which basically means it deals double damage. But we have something unblockable, and it's huge. We can just get through really easy with this and hit for a lot of damage. We have Daybreak Coronet, 2 white. Enchanted creature with another aura attached to it. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. I just liked it because it has a lion on it, and I think it's cool. I'm pretty sure it's a Johnny, but we have Eidolon of Countless Battles, 1 generic and 2 white. Bestow, which means you can cast as an aura, but then Eidolon of Countless Battles and enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and +1/+1 for each aura you control. We have Eldrazi Conscription, 8 mana, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and has Trample and Annihilator 2. My favorite aura ever because it has Emrakul on it. And there's just like this girl staring at it like, yo, what the heck? Anyways, we have Ethereal Armor, 1 white, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. It's 1 mana. It's probably the best aura that we can play on a creature because it gives it first strike and it makes it huge. And then we have Ready of Charmed Apple, 1 generic and an Orzhov. Enchanted creature that's each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of instep, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of auras you control. Thunker form, 1 generic and a white. Enchanted creature, 2 and white. You exile enchanted creature and all auras attached to it. At the beginning of the next instep, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, return all other cards exiled this way to the battlefield under their owner's control. Lastwing Grace, 3 generic and 2 Orzhov hybrid. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and lifelink. But it also has like the flip land on the back, so I think it's pretty okay. We want to play it as the land. Shielded by Faith, 1 generic and 2 white. Enchanted creature has indestructible. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Shielded by Faith to that creature. So if we have a bunch of these, we can just spread them around on all of our creatures. Spectral Ward, 3 generic and 2 white. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from all colors. This effect doesn't remove auras. That's very good for this because, we are playing an aura deck. We want our auras to be able to put on there. We have Spirit Mantle, 1 generic and a white. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has protection from creatures. We were going to be attacking a lot with this deck, so we want protection from creatures. That way people just can't block us, which it basically just gives it unblockable. We have Steel of Godhead, 2 generic and a Azorius hybrid. Enchanted creature, as long as enchanted creature is white, it gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. And as long as creature is blue, it gets +1/+1 and is unblockable. We have a lot of good stuff to equip, so we're pretty good with that. Timely Ward, 2 generic and a white. You may cast Timely Ward as though it had flash if it targets a commander. Enchanted creature has indestructible. Very good way to save Arna from getting destroyed. She's probably going to be a kill on sight. Umbra Mystic, 2 generic and a white. Auras attached to 2 permanents you control have totem armor, which means if they would be destroyed and remove all damage from the creature and the aura is destroyed instead. We have Slitherblade. I put this in here just because it was a good target to put auras on. I didn't put many other ones in here, but I did put Slitherblade in here. I don't know why. I just put this random 1-drop in, but I thought it was funny. We have lands, 6 islands, very standard for me. 6 plains, very standard for me. And then we have 6 swamps. Like I said, I like to keep them even. Bolt the Champions enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Taps for a white or a black. Very good in Commander because we have 3 opponents. And it will usually come in untapped. Underground River taps for a colorless or taps for a blue and a black. We'll play blue or a black and it deals 1 damage to you. Again, we are going to be wanting to fix our colors. Sunken Hollow enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Also is fetchable, but I don't think I have any basic land fetches in here. Or any fetches at all in here because I don't feel like putting them in here. Sea of Clouds enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Taps for white or blue. Again, Very good fixing, very good coming into the battlefield untapped. Or Fiend's Tower enters the battlefield tapped, but it taps for white, blue, or black. It also is fetchable, but you can also cycle it. You can discard it and draw a card. Very cool. Prayer Stream enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basics, and it also is a Plains Island, so it counts towards whatever card if there's a card that cares about it. Morphic Pool enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more opponents. Control 2 or more if you have 2 or more opponents. Unless you have 2 or more opponents. I don't know what I'm saying. Taps for a blue or a black. Then we have Isolated Chapel enters battlefield tapped unless you control a plains or a swamp. Taps for a white or a black. Very good. Like I said, a lot of these lands are just pretty much the basic stuff you put in. Hall of Heliod's Generosity taps for a colorless. He also taps for 1 white and a colorless. You can put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. Glacial Fortress enters battlefield tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Taps for white or blue. Just I don't know what I have to say about these lands. Just put them in. Exotic Orchard, add 1 mana of any color that a land opponent controls could produce, which means we'll probably be tapping for 1 of our colors at least. We're in a 3-color deck. I wouldn't be surprised if we tap for all of them. Drowned Catacomb enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island or a swamp. Taps for a blue and a black, blue or black. Command Tower taps for all of our colors, which is white, blue, and black. And it comes in untapped. Very good land. Best land in the format. Prove me wrong. You can. Caves of Kulios, tap it for colors. You can also tap it for a white or a black, and it deals 1 damage to you. The damage isn't going to matter that much since we're in Commander. We have 40 life. And there's other ways to gain life, probably. Bajuka Bug enters the battlefield tapped, but it also enters the battlefield and exile target player's graveyard, and it also taps for black. It's really good against those pesky graveyard decks. We have Aged Grace Chapel enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for a white or a blue or a black. And it's the back of an aura. That's the only reason why it's in here. Because it's the back of an aura. Adakar Waste taps for colors, and you can also tap it for a white or a blue, and it deals 1 damage to you. Like I said, the damage isn't going to matter. Also, I really like the art. It's like a salt plane with water. It's really weird. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Blue Sky, Discord, all stuff, and links in the description. So yeah, peace out.